Hello everybody, it's Friday night and it is time for the Weekender once more. We have another packed show for you this week in which Ben swoons for Star Wars, I get sentimental for Sinbad, and Justin takes the hump with War Machine. On top of that, we also have a prize, a £50 voucher from Wayland Games for one lucky subscriber to our YouTube channel. All you have to do to be in with a chance to win is pop a comment below this video. Can't say fairer than that. Now sit back, relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I have returnated and with me this week is Justin and Ben.
Hello.
Well done. We're here to bring you another fun-filled show full of all the news from the past week that we've thought to put into the new show from this past week, because it won't be everything, it's just a selection.
That's a great jingle. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, we need to change the news intro now to Jerry's jingle for the news.
I'm still looking for an Indie of the Week intro. Lloyd, I expect I'll get that anytime just after Room's completed. Lloyd.
Again,
Lloyd?
See, here's your tug of war for that one is with Business Daddy, and I think Business Daddy wins.
Yeah, but I'm closer. I can reach out and touch someone / slap them. And he's only Eckle. Yeah. So anyway, we're here. We're very hot. Summer has arrived in Ireland. It will last for approximately 5 hours while we're filming this, and I'll sweat into my pants.
Well, here's one for you. Some idiot, the idiot that repainted the door to my apartment, painted it black.
Nice.
It has heated up so much and warped so much, it actually snapped the bar in the yield lock.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing. I mean, to be fair, of all the things I didn't expect, heat, warpage, breaking lock was high on the list of things for Ireland. You know, it's good times.
Yeah. Well, no, I let the landlady know today, and she's cursing up a storm because she told him not to paint it that colour to start with, and then he only painted half the door. Typical Irish tradesman.
To be fair, though, maybe he was listening to the philosopher Mick Jagger.
Maybe.
He saw a red door and wanted to paint it black.
You can go and listen to that now.
It's well seen Jerry's happy to be back.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm ecstatic. My hovercraft is full of eels. We're getting in there. We're halfway through Spring Clean Challenge. I've decided to start 2 Spring Clean Challenges. You'll hear more about that on Sunday.
Yep.
Maybe discuss.
Yep.
Because, you know, it's the time of year to revamp stuff and be all full of the joys of spring, as I often am.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not why we're here.
Yeah,
we're here to find out what's going on in Wonderful World of Tabletop News.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right then, Ben. We've got a ton of news to get through. Where are we going to start this week? Bit of sci-fi, you say?
Oh, yes. So I'm going to be starting off with a little bit of sci-fi awesomeness from the universe of Stargrave, because North Star miniature figures are now taking pre-orders for the new Stargrave Automatons that slot it very nicely alongside the Death Vector supplement for this sci-fi game from Joseph McCullough.
Oh, yes.
So Death Vector sees you sliding into the darker side of his sci-fi universe, which could be anywhere and nowhere all at once, where you'll be running up against some deadly automatons, like you can see here. And, of course, North Star, to kind of coincide with the release of that book, have designed a brand new plastic set with a whole bunch of different bits and bobs on it that you can use to create your lobotomized automatons, cybernetically enhanced killers, and everything else in between.
My guess is prisoners who have been voluntold.
Exactly, yes. You know, there's a use for you even if you have been locked up. So you get a whole bunch of new bodies in the set, interestingly without the puddle bases this time. So cool. As you normally see puddle-based stuff on North Star pieces. Alongside a host of different weapons. So you've got a variety of melee options there, including spikes, buzzsaws, drills, pincers, clamps. You always need to clamp something.
I was thinking, see, since the minute the first pictures came up, I was thinking clamps.
And everything else in between, as well as a variety of ranged weapons as well. So you've got your classic sort of rifles alongside energy weapons, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and everything else in between. Pretty much anything that you could find and pick up within Stargrave, you've got there on that kit. Now, obviously, this is a great set if you're going to be designing your enemies that are going to turn up as part of encounters in Death Vector, or of course, if you wanted to make an automaton-themed crew, that's obviously a route that you could go down. But the other thing that's really nice about this is, and it's something that applies to all of the North Star kits as well, is that they are very customizable and kit bashable. So you could take this set and say one of your characters from your crew lost an arm in a previous encounter or had something terrible happen to them, fell off a ledge, something like that. They could maybe get themselves some mechanical legs or a mechanical arm, and you could go down the route of doing cybernetics and bionic upgrades and all that kind of thing as well. Or maybe their head exploded, in which case just replace it with a big robot one. So yes, exactly.
Yeah, the fellow on the right was looking at the wrong things on the internet, so they took his eyes.
He's up there now.
They've given him automatic login details as part of his visor now. Yeah. So yeah, a really nice looking new set from the folks at North Star, available to pre-order right now. Comes with loads of different bits and bobs on it, as you can see, and should be fun to dive into for those people who already have a extensive Stargrave collection and want to explore what's available as part of Death Vector. So,
I wonder if these folks will be turning up to Expo.
Probably. If not North Star, because they don't tend to do conventions, the box sets might end up popping up at some place.
Oh god, yeah.
Maybe over on the Osprey stand itself. You never know. So
worth having a look.
Indeed.
The bug heads are weird.
Well, that's it. I wasn't sure if they're bug heads or if they're just little bugs, because there's 3 of them.
For you to slot onto bases and stuff.
Yeah,
like that,
to make little swarms.
Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah. Little nanobots. It's always nano machines.
There's nothing nano about that, boss.
I suppose, yeah.
I don't want them
someone's
inserted
back
into
right
me.
at the nape of the neck. That's how they're controlled.
That could also work, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I quite like these. They're a nice collection of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've got all of the little telltale bits from the soldiers and the scavengers and the other. In fact, mixing the scavengers with these would be particularly nice, because all the ragged clothing and stuff, where they're out beyond the fringe and they don't have access to actual proper doctors, therefore half their arm is now a gun, or half their leg is a gun. go full Planet Terror.
Yeah. That's an old callback.
Yeah. But yeah, I think these are really nice. I'm curious to see what Death Vector is as far as the campaign system goes, because every time Joe does a campaign book, something new gets added, something extravagant changes, not always just a narrative storyline. So, floating around doing biker gangs in space was a thing for a bit. This obviously looks like the Borg done on a budget, somewhere around whatever I have in my wallet currently. Let's just check how much Borg can I get for
shrapnel.
£35. I can get Death Vector Borg for £35. Let's just put pipes on them and push them out into a forest and film it all in grayscale. Call it an art film.
Sort of.
But yeah, they're a nice looking set of kits.
Just go watch Frankenstein's Army.
Yeah, Frankenstein was the monster after all. That's the lesson we learned from that book. But he was. Frankenstein was the monster.
I guess what you mean. That's what you mean.
Yeah, see. Yeah. So now anybody who ever gets criticized for that,
you can say, actually, if you think about it thematically,
he was the monster. What was the monster's name?
Monster. No, Adam. Yes.
The first man. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Had a name. Everybody forgets because nobody likes him, because he's got a big flat head you can rest a pint on. All right. Next up in the news, Ben, more sci-fi.
I was thinking about something about holding on to bolts.
Yes.
Anyway, right, yes. So more news out of Atomic Mass Games when it comes to Star Wars Legion. So we saw these new starter sets for Star Wars Legion previewed back when Atomic Mass did their big reveals a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago now at Adepticon. But they've gone into a little bit more detail about when you're going to be able to get your hands on these. So there's going to be 4 starter sets that are going to be coming out. throughout the rest of this year. You'll see them in autumn popping up all over the place. As I say, there are 4, starting with the Rebels, which are led by Luke Skywalker, as you can see there, with his Yavin jacket, looking very nice indeed. Alongside a big host of the new Rebel troopers, with their new hard plastic kits, which look absolutely lovely, and backing them up, some Wookiee warriors for good measure, because you want to unleash the beast. So yes, very cool.
100%.
Get a bunch of alien heads and things like that as part of the new Rebel kit as well, which is nice to see, because one of the complaints about the original plastic sets for the Rebels
were
was
racist.
just humans.
Just humans, more racist than the Empire.
Yes. And one of the blue guys. I can't remember what their name was now.
Duros, Twillick.
Duros, that's it. Yes.
Moncal.
Yeah. So a nice little selection of stuff for you to dive in there for the Rebels. Coming up against them, you've also got the Galactic Empire, led by Darth Vader, looking very nice indeed. And once again, you're going to get new plastic sets for your Stormtroopers. If you've seen any of Sarastro's videos recently, he's been showing off the plastics for these, and they look absolutely gorgeous, really nicely detailed. Definitely worth having a look at those in more detail. And then, of course, backing them up are a set of Scout Troopers as well, who will be sort of winding their way through jungles, forests, urban landscapes, wherever you might want to send them in order to lay the groundwork. So, yes.
I have to say, the Scout Troopers in that set are probably the most interesting for me.
They're really nice. I like those. Yeah.
And, I mean, I've nothing against Stormtroopers. Every village needs them. But they are, and they'll get them whether they want it or not. They are, generic shooty guys with generic shooty guy weapons. However, Scout Troopers, you've got pistol, sniper, guy at the back who looks like he's got tank mines behind Vader.
Explosives, yeah.
Somebody else rootin' tootin' shooting there, and then and also for out with the wee tricast.
Foot on rock, of course.
Foot on log in this case. So clearly he's been in Endor looking for his dead mates and their necked speeders.
Where are my speeder bikes?
Where are my? I swear I parked it here. Where has it gone? Very nice.
Some great stuff on that front.
Vader's a bit static.
I think he's got commanding. Is that standard,
menacing pose?
Yeah, menacing commander vibes.
I mean, we see menacing Vader all the time.
I think it'd be cool if he had one hand reached out, about to do a force choke or something. Maybe could kind of cool.
Is how the Knights model version of him up there is. About to choke the shit out of somebody. Yeah. But considering what they've done for Star Wars Crisis Protocol, the Vader in that who's striding forward with the cloak is flattering behind him. He's a bit of presence to him. He just looks very statically dull compared to what they could have done.
A gentle breeze.
Yeah. He's not even a breeze at the moment. It's completely calm. He's just using the Force to do that. He's just a show off.
The ultimate use for superpower, essentially. Yeah. I will make my cloak gently flutter.
Yeah.
Absolute loser, Anakin.
He is. Yeah. He deserved to have his legs burnt off. Yeah.
Glad he got cut.
If you're switching over to the Clone Wars era, there's a couple of sets for you to dive into there as well. If you're fighting for the Galactic Republic, there is a set that contains new sculpts for Obi-Wan Kenobi charging forward, as you can see there, looking very nice indeed.
Yes.
Alongside one of the new customizable Jedi Knights as well for you to slot into your army, which is pretty cool.
Have they named him?
I don't think
I'm going to name him Beodor.
There you
from
go.
The Knights of the Old Republic 2 Sith Lords game.
Oh yes, yeah.
I will say that the proto Scout Troopers, their helmet shape is really weird.
Yes, there's a lot of extra curves added in for Clone Wars stuff, I tend to think. But as you say, the rest of the set is made up of clones. So you've got your regular clone troopers, of which there are quite a lot of them, as you can see, alongside ARC troopers and the ARF troopers as well in there too. Just to note as well, as something that was pointed out by Sundancer in the comments, the actual base unit size for stuff has gone up a little bit in Star Wars Legion now.
Yeah, you're no longer limited to whatever they came as, like a 6-man unit.
Yeah.
They've allowed, I think, up to 10 or, it varies actually depending on the unit, I think.
A couple of different options on that front for you to dive into and play around with and stuff like that. Capping things off for the 4 starter sets then, we have one for the Separatists, because you couldn't leave them alone.
Oh, that'll make John happy.
Yeah. So you've got the awesome General Grievous there, carving his way through whatever Jedi decides to stand in his way. Looking very nice indeed, with those forearms outspread, as you can see. He's backed up.
Trained in the Jedi arts by Count Dooku himself, you know.
Was he? I didn't actually know that.
And apparently the training was, can you spin stuff really quickly? I would love to have seen Dooku teach him that. Here's what I need you to do.
Is it the equivalent of the Simpsons bit where they're flailing their arms around and kicking around as they walk forward? Yeah,
exactly like that.
I can never look at the droid troopers without hearing Roger, Roger in my head.
I think that's ingrained in everybody at this point. Yeah. So you do have a legion of B1 battle droids there, as you can see. Mm-hmm. Looking very nice indeed, alongside the B2 battle droids, which are my favourite, the super battle droids. Oh, so
got
cool.
That Cylon look. For sure.
Yes. It's that moment in Clone Wars where they're walking through the arena and one of the super battle droids just punches a B1 out of the way and then starts firing past it, and it's like, get out of the way, minion. So cool. And then last but not least, there are the droidecar in the mix as well, rolling down corridors ready to shoot at Jedi. So yes,
well, they were already a plastic kit, weren't they? So I don't, possibly with the exception of Grievous, because I can't remember. Grievous had a plastic kit with 2 versions.
I believe so. Yes,
but I don't think it was that.
Him as well. Was it?
I don't think it was that pose. So I think that might be a new sculpt, but the rest looks like they are current.
I think that because the Clone Wars stuff was more modern, than the other stuff. But yeah, it's really nice stuff there across all 4 of those sets. They've all been designed as recon-ready armies, which is the kind of entry-level game mode for playing Star Wars Legion. So you're going to get about 600 points per set. You'll also get all of the other bits and pieces that you need to play. So you get your measuring devices, your tokens, cards, and all that kind of thing inside there too. So if you want to dive in and start playing Star Wars Legion later in the year with some new stuff, you're able to get your hands on those and have some fun. And what's nice is Recon played out on 3x3 tables, so it's quite small, same as your Shatterpoint tables. So if you're somebody who already has a nice Shatterpoint layout or something, it should work basically scale-wise for that. And if you want to learn a little bit more about Star Wars Legion, all the rules are available online for free, so you can go and check them out right now. Download
those living rulebook things, what the kids do.
What the kids do.
Their tablets and stuff.
Exactly.
That's how you move a tablet.
Beep, beep, boop. Scroll.
I think the best thing about the new Star Wars boxes is that they do all have the measuring sticks, the range sticks, and the cards and the die. So you're not doing that. Here's a 2-player starter set where you get half of what you need, and then constantly.
And nobody wants to play the other box set, so you couldn't split it with someone, and all that kind
you just end up having to chuck it all away.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll get back into Legion, but I do have a lot of Legion Imperial, which means I might pick up the Rebels.
That'd be cool.
And then just go back and play WEG's D6 game.
There you go.
So,
sorted. Or play Stargrave with them.
Sorted.
I
can off-road.
Perfect bunch of miniatures for that.
So. Do a little 7TV if you want.
Yeah.
I want bigger. If I'm playing Star Wars, I want bigger.
Large battles, please.
Yeah. I mean, it would probably be more likely to be Xenos Rampant.
Xenos Rampant would be
something
really
where
good.
You have a goodly number of figures on the tabletop shooting each other in the face.
A goodly and a bigly number.
Bigly is the bestly. Right. Moving away from science fiction and into the wonderful world of fantastical 7TV-ness. There's a whole host of stuff coming from the folks over at Crooked Dice, a lot of which is Sinbad adjacent, shall we say. So with the upcoming Kali Dervish, Princess Parisha, and Zakuru the Sorcerer, you've got a nice set of antagonists, potentially.
Yeah.
Or, friends, enemies becoming friends, friends becoming enemies. Well, journey of character, which is what you want when you're playing 7TV.
Cautionary allies.
Yeah. Yes. Obviously, for the Arabian Sinbad feel, this is absolutely banging for it. But if you're looking for some heroes or characters to play out and things like Ghost Archipelago, it's a good place to come for these as well. I mean, I could see these having to deal with a whole bunch of snake people roaming around the battlefield. uphill and down deal, being terrible, terrible peoples. And they are absolutely gorgeous. Never really thought you would look good in orange and purple, Justin, and you're correct in that respect. So,
Why am I always typecast?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. Maybe you're telling me my microphone's they're not alone, though. There's also the Tormented Seer, who's one step away from sticking somebody in a jar, or alternatively chucking a handful of giant bees at somebody's head, or some other Sinbad-like thing. There was some weird stuff happened in the Sinbad.
It really was.
It's great. It's well worth going back. I've not rewatched them in a wee while now, so yeah, you can never be certain what's going to happen. All of a sudden, something laps up a little pool of spilt milk on the ground and becomes some sort of terrifying behemoth that's going to kill everybody in sight. He's an absolute cracker and rather subdued in comparison to some of the other sculpts. Obviously, here he's being cast as the villain for, I don't know, whatever reasons people think he's a villain. Possibly the fact he's got a chrome-plated skull on the end of his staff.
Are we the baddies?
But if you snip that off and just replace it with something else, maybe like a little sneaky head or something,
Maybe a magic crystal?
He could quite easily be a nice
He could be.
magic user of some description. Doesn't have to be a Tormented Seer.
No.
You know, everybody has the opportunity to make their own way in life. To be brutally honest, he would make a very good Jarvis for Kings of War.
Okay. Yeah.
Jarvis is a hero that you can upgrade, or not upgrade. If you buy Jarvis in as your hero for your undead army, it switches the allegiance from evil to good, because Jarvis is a fellow who went off, found some ancient books and thought, you know what? Why don't we make dead fellows work for us? Why don't we be good about this?
He's an equal opportunities employer. So.
Good man. He's a good man. And that means you can have your filthy undead with allied elves.
Ooh.
Also incredibly filthy. But yeah, so if you're looking something a bit Arabian and a little bit necromantic in case, then the Tormented Seer is quite nice as well. And then we have these.
Oh, those are different.
They're not different. I've seen these before, and it's killing me because I can't place them. I'm positive they're a Larry Elmore set from D&D, a set of his illustrations. I'm positive I've seen that.
Especially the priest as well.
The priest, the fighter with the winged helm, the rogue I've seen on the front of a box, but they weren't carrying a bag. They had 2 daggers. And I've seen that dwarf with that pipe and the axe over the shoulder. I've seen all of these and I don't know where. And I went to have a look and I can't find it. So I'll be looking forward to the people in the chat when this goes live telling me which Larry Elmore.
There we go.
Or your answer's on a postcard and really torture Jerry. Make him wait for it.
Stuck down envelope will also work if you don't have a bracelet. So quite good that way. But yeah, just a nice generic set of fighter, cleric, dwarf, and rogue.
Fits really nicely alongside their kind of Hero Quest adjacent stuff they did recently as well. So,
I mean, if you're going back into classic D&D, obviously, as far as classes go, dwarf and elf were a class, not a race.
They were.
You couldn't be another thing if you were a dwarf or an elf because you were already getting bonuses on that. So, I mean, these are classic lineup of adventurers.
Especially with that haircut.
Bulk on the cleric's class.
That cleric clearly looks like he's talking to the rogue going, look, if you nick anything, I will lump you with my mace. That's
we
clearly the conversation.
Shepherd book. You know, killing's not allowed, but kneecapping is a grey area. Very much the same for clerics. It's all about the booping upside the head. And if you're looking for somebody to boop, then maybe the terrible taxmen running off with all the wealth of the village is the way to go with the royal retinue there, which is a really nice set of objectives / characters to add into your games. They're one step away from Guy of Gisborne.
I was about to say,
just going full Robin Hood with them, because they do a Robin Hood set, don't they?
They do. The guards remind me so much of Maid Marian and Her Merry Men, the CBBC version where they had Norman guards like that.
Yeah.
And I would love to see someone do that set of figures. Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Anytime I see this type of miniature, I can think of nothing but Robin Hood Men in Tights.
There you go. Yeah.
That's an old one
Nailed
for you
on
kids.
for it then.
Or,
Nailed on for it.
just the old Hooded Man TV series.
Oh yeah.
Because I think that's where they
Man.
I think that's where they got the Maid Marian
I think it
color
was,
scheme
yeah.
from. They just reused
Yeah.
the palette that was there. So
Mhm.
because it was blue with a white and red chevron, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
For Guy,
Yeah.
who's always running about, getting really annoyed that they were getting one over on them and waiting for Nottingham to come back and carve his heart out with a spoon.
It'll hurt more.
Very nice.
Greek Skelly Bobs.
I love these.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what he's done, it's that. But because he's a good necromancer now, we've discussed this, he has asked them, do I have your permission to resurrect you and use you in combat over and over again until your bones become dust? And they've said nothing at all because they're skeletons and have no
Necromantic
will of their own.
consent is good. So, yeah.
Nod if I'm allowed to use you. And the skeletons all go,
Poor old King Leonidas getting no rest.
Well, I thought
Hardening.
that'd be a pretty badass thing. Imagine like the Persians are coming back for round 2, and all the Spartans are raised from their graves to fight in the hot gates once more. That'd be pretty badass. So
it would harden them, certainly.
yeah,
They find it difficult enough to kill them when they could be killed.
yeah.
Imagine the difficulty you're going to have stopping them now.
Our spears just go through their rib cages.
We're into hiding to nothing.
That
really
arrow
like
volley is
this.
not going to be so effective.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to block out the sun when there's an undead army of Spartans
We
coming
are
your
the
way.
shade.
Or shades.
There we go. Yes.
Very Styxian of you, mate.
Yeah.
Very Styxian of you.
Line from your new movie that you're going to shoot in the backlot.
In the backlot of wherever we can find a bit of waste ground.
Yeah.
Go full Pym on that one. The final bit of fantasticalness from this new range are the giant rats, a staple of any dungeon. They call them giant rats. I call them rodents of unusual size. We all have our cross to bear, and that is mine. And I mean, if you need something to throw against a pirate, then that's a good way of doing it.
Very
Possibly
much so.
the only way you're going to stop him in that flaming swamp. It's all good in hood. And they are just really, I mean, they are what they are. They're giant rats. If you're after some monsters to fill a dungeon or for 5 Leagues from the Borderlands, I'm starting to mix games together, aren't I? No, it is.
No, it is 5 leagues from the Borderlands because the other one's 5 parsecs.
5 parsecs from home.
Yeah.
Obviously, things like that, Silver Bayonet, the Graves, when you require some sort of giant monster, it's good to have them on tap, so to speak. Little death vectors, I suppose. Plague carrying death vectors coming your way.
Back again.
Yes. Can't get rid of them. It's not the only thing that's been coming out of the woods from the Crookedy Dice, and these are absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, God, yes.
Ooh, shivering timbers.
Shiver, as you say, me timbers, discuss. A set of Skelly Bobs. I'll go to that one first. Look at them in all their resurrected glory. Look at how he's managed to keep that beard despite the fact all his flesh is gone, which means either him or the fella who resurrected him spent a time-consuming half hour of boiling up slugs to make some sort of terrible glue and then gluing his hair and beard back on him, and then went, now you're ready to go out and cause mayhem. But
I love the monkey and the parrot.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
2 little sets, the little powder monkey and parrot there with the pirate captain himself, who we're going to call Blackbeard for want of a better name. And I mean, they're really nice.
They're
nicely
really
designed
lovely sculpts.
Yeah. They have a good amount of whimsy to them.
Yes. Bit of
as I believe people
swagger
say.
as well, which is always good. Yeah.
Because you've got that sort of knock-kneed Skelly Bob wandering around pose to him. And at the same time, you've also got somebody desperately attempting to drink some rum that probably evaporated shortly before his flesh did, long time ago. It's just a ghost of a spirit in that bottle, and that's it.
See what you did there.
Cracking. Absolutely cracking. So a ton of stuff coming from Crooked Dice, which is, par for the course from them.
More every week nowadays.
Yeah, they're ramping up the expansion of 7TV at a rate of knots, especially now that they've got those students as slave labor, where they could just push them in the room, head the
Unpaid
steps.
internships, Jerry.
You will not get out of this room or pass until you've written us a supplement for. And then they just roll a dice and go Italian Wars with monkeys.
Yeah. We might go and talk to them again this year at UKG, because it was great talking to them last year. So.
Yeah,
it is fast approaching end of the month.
It's fine.
Why are you crying? You don't have to tear a studio apart and stuff it in a van and get on a boat for 8 hours with warrant.
He has to do everything else.
Yeah.
That's why. It's literally 99% of stuff. Then 1% moves the studio. That's how it breaks down. But yeah, worth checking out if you're fancying a bit of the old fantasy for 7TV, whether it happens to be for 7TV itself or if you've got other plans. I'm sure there's plenty of games you can wingle them into.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. I think that's enough news for now.
Sweet.
Get ready for the indie of the week. Okay, then. Our indie of the week this week is Iron Gate Scenery.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrain is always good.
Technically, there's some terrain.
Oh, okay.
Technically.
Okay. You have my attention.
The best kind of correct, technically.
Yes. Iron Gate Scenery, they do a lot of stuff. We're not going to be looking at their print and play stuff from other companies, because they have licenses to print a lot of stuff. And while the name Scenery is in there, and that is what we're going to be looking at, really what Iron Gate do is the supplemental pieces. So if you need market accessories,
tavern
market
tables.
stalls, tables, that sort of thing, this is where you get it from. As you can see, they have got various ranges: Asian, Aztec, Fantasy, and the like. They have broken it down by collections. So we could, for example, upset Justin by going Philip Sins. Just watch some people get out of a hot tub, that sort of thing, because there's only 4 of those. There you go.
Oh me, oh my.
It's The Witcher.
Exactly. He's also got a shedder, which is good, and some statues. But really what we're here for is, like I say, there's quite a few bits and pieces in there. But Iron Gate's own list is substantial in and of itself, with a mere 131 pieces of kit for decorating your tables or dioramas or bases themselves.
I do love tables that have all the ancillary bits on it.
Yeah. There's so many games these days that aren't just helped by it, but it's almost required. And that's where, I first came across IGS via the medium of Gangs of Rome.
Of course, yeah.
I want to say it was Pete, one of our community members, was using the market stalls here to add some interest to the middle of the town squares and stuff where he was playing his games of Gangs of Rome on. So these are 3D designed and 3D printed, but you buy the physical, they don't sell the STLs. So in some cases you may find that some of them are a mixture of MDF and 3D print parts. So you'll get bits and pieces in there. Look, a bucket full of crabs. Like crabs.
They'll never get out.
They're coming for you, Barbara, which means you have to get in there early and smack them upside the head. But it's just the potential for dressing and decorating your table, and with the likes of Guards of Trader's Toll coming out, where you are supposed to be playing in a bustling, vibrant city full of in a Gangs of Rome style, full of civilians or ne'er-do-wells who disguised as civilians, then being able to put in these sort of ancillary pieces aren't just decorative, but they're also gameplay important, because things move randomly. You may get a suspect disappearing between a couple of market stalls that you weren't expecting, or you may suddenly find your path blocked by whatever happens to be, a wagon cart that's broken a wheel or that sort of thing. But beyond that, having bits and pieces like this, like the little hooked lanterns to hang around your city or put onto your walls or the front of your shops are absolutely terrific as well. Just little pieces, because not everybody has a bucket load of these in metal when GW used to do them. And I'm pretty sure they haven't done those in forever and a day now. So being able to get little pieces like that for scenery builders is particularly good, because I am a fan of it. So obviously you've got things that repeat to the market stalls, but with various flavors of produce and the likes on it. But if you've picked up a load of Sarissa's bits and pieces, so if you have, for example, things like the bakery or the bar, then being able to go in and put in various shelving and decoration in and around it, glue some shelves to the wall, have your amphora and bits and pieces like that is just terrific. And if they have a gameplay potential when you're playing within the actual buildings as well, then so much the better. Even if you just have to trip over or throw somebody over a bar, that's good. Or into a shitter, also hilarious.
With the Webby Shea.
Yeah, it is indeed a very bucket. I know Lloyd's a big fan of very buckets. I think maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, he sent me this going, have you seen this? And it's like, yes, Lloyd, I have. Although I never actually responded to that message. So
no one can make you.
No one can make me do the medievals. But yes, if you want very bucket.
The fact that I think we're waiting for you to get a bunch of medieval miniatures in for review.
Yep. The nice thing is once I've reviewed them, I don't have to do anything with them. I just bring them up and dump them on Lloyd's doorstep, ring the doorbell and run away. If I set them on
just
fire
in a basket
and then run,
on a stormy night,
stamp on it like dog shit. No, what have I done? I've got peasantry all over my feet. Oh, the peasantry.
One of the things we often talk about when it comes to gaming tales, especially for skirmish games, is that idea of making them feel lived in. And I think these are the kind of things that help to do that. I also, whilst obviously I know you object to the idea of miniature-based role-playing games.
You're going to say it, don't say it.
One of the nice things about doing stuff like this, especially with things like the dungeon doors, trapdoors, and that kind of stuff, scroll cabinets and everything like that, is that if you set that up on the tabletop for your players and go that kind of extra mile when it comes to building an encounter, it kind of engenders them to try and play around with the idea of interacting with your world a little bit more. I mean, you've got the kind of openness that you get with Mind's Eye Theatre or stuff anyway, but sometimes people need a little bit of a prompt when it comes to D&D and stuff like that. So having a tactical battle map, maybe on some Loke books or something like that, with a couple of these bits and pieces to make it 2.5D, you could do a really nice setup to kind of get people involved in the idea of actually interacting with the environment a little bit more rather than just walking up and hitting the orc or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Attempting a jailbreak out of the back of a moving prison cart.
Perfect for the Baron's War, perhaps, if you're going to be looking at diving into that for the new edition. Yeah. So.
Stick a Saracen in it.
Yeah.
Go and get Rob of Locksley to break him out.
Exactly. Yeah.
We have actually just started a new Tiamat campaign, which is going to be fun.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Isn't the best way to get around Tiamat is to occasionally run her into Venger?
Go old school cartoon. Yes.
Generally how it goes. Just leave a little tray of M&Ms or something out and wait for Venger to come around the corner to pick them up, and all of a sudden, no, Tiamat.
I mean, one of our party members is just dead set on murdering Tiamat, so it'll be interesting to see how he deals with the dragon cult.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, good luck. Let me know what his second character's like. If he's any better / more realistic.
I like the muscles. They're nice.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Good for your tavern.
Yeah.
Again, depending on the game you're playing, they may just be incidental pieces, or they could be integral to how the game is actually going to be played around there. But there's some really nice terrain out there these days, pre-painted or pre-colored, depending on where you're getting it from. But they're all the same in that when you take the lid off, it's just a vast empty chasm staring at you. You know, the tavern looks great from the outside, but there's not a single table or chair or inside. If you happen to be playing Frostgrave, there are a couple of library-based scenarios.
There are, yeah.
Who says they have to be books?
Yeah.
Let's face it, if they're wizards, it's all going to be on a scroll.
Yeah. That's all going to be Fireball.
Fill your bits with scroll.
They're all just level 5 Fireball or something.
I actually did hear a story of someone who
Fireball.
did that. They owned like a store in a town, and their character, every time they finished up a session, was just like, yeah, I'm going to my store, I'm going to be inscribing some Fireball scrolls. I'm just going to do it the entire way. And I think eventually he had like 200 scrolls of Fireball, and he led the BBG in there. He just went, Asha!
Absolutely shocking.
Oh, there's a greenhouse. I like
That's
that.
cool.
There is, if you're going to do modern stuff. We're not going to look at the modern stuff
The
yet.
very
though.
British Civil War, perhaps. That would be a good one.
There's some nice
ransack.
little bits of Aztec-y goodness, which are handy for, Ghost
Mhm.
Archipelago.
A little bit
we
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything like that, if you fancy going a bit pulp.
It belongs in a museum. But I have to liberate it from this old temple first.
There's the man who steals stuff
Yes.
and then is looking to sell it
Yeah.
all the time. That's how he funds his misadventures.
It's
I
per
mean,
unfortunate.
He's not as bad as Lara Croft, who finds outposts of forgotten dinosaurs who have survived the extinction event and then just oozes them to the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, things like that are quite nice. Fancy a bit of Dead Man's Hand?
Ooh, I love those.
Nobody's got aces and eights, I don't think so.
And you can
They're all
flip the
okay.
tables over and hide behind them when you're doing your games. Oh, that's so cool.
I wonder where that came from, the idea that tables are bulletproof.
Movies.
Yes, but I wonder who done it first.
Which movie did it first? Yeah.
Oh, you'll need to go back to something silent in the 20s, I imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the little
Forge as well. Very nice.
The little forge, or if you're planning on staying with room,
or a blood press.
Wow. Ben, you just had to make it weird, buddy.
Fetch quite a few virgin hearts under that.
Yes.
Just, get them all out in one go. It's a good way to go for it.
When your vampire character orders be positive.
I like all the
the ballistas. I love all the machinery.
I mean,
Flotsam.
War machines are great.
I love Flotsam.
Flotsam and or Jetsam.
Yeah, the blood and plundery stuff and all that kind of thing.
Old
And
school
your
muscle
Ghost
wheel.
Archipelago.
Wizard accessories.
Which one's the wet? There's your.
I do like that greenhouse.
Sure, you have an allotment, Ben.
I do, yeah. I don't have a really nice greenhouse like that, though. Oh.
No, that's a shame.
It just needs a little bit of clear cellophane.
Yeah,
you
could do that. Yeah,
that you get most of it in there. I think the only thing you're not getting is your tufts. So your greenhouse, the floor, the shelving, the vegetable patch out the side, your wheelbarrow, your planting trays inside, the plant pots and stacks. It's all PLA, so fairly robust. I think pretty much everything they print is PLA.
Right.
You just need to then break out a load of grass tufts and flower tufts and then start filling the pots and filling the bedding.
I'm digging it.
Well, I'll have to look in the flotsam.
With added sharks.
With added, yeah. You just replay Quint's Indianapolis speech over and over again as you play your game. Because that's why he'll never wear a life jacket. Yeah, just really nice pieces
It's really cool
of work. And like I say, when you're playing, having things like letters in the streets for guards of Trader's Toll, perfect for that medieval fantasy vibe. A bit different from having 15 carts sitting around for no reason that people keep bumping into. Likewise with things like the planters or the market stalls and that sort of thing. It's just ways to change up what scatter terrain means on the tabletop, because I think too often barrels and crates get fired around here, there, and everywhere.
Love the
and I mean, there's nothing wrong with having some barrels and crates, but when every bit of blocking terrain on your city board is barrels and crates, it starts to look very
bit
odd.
like a massive warehouse.
Yeah.
yeah. Someone's on strike.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. Obviously, some torture bits and pieces, which are always good, and little canon as well. But yeah, just the diversity within what they've sort of curated here, even if you move beyond their own stuff, is really nice. If, for example, you have the Rorke's Drift Hospital and you need a set of bunk beds for it, because I do, then you can get your bunk beds. And just need to stick a little Sergeant Maxfield on the bottom one. Scray big, I've made a soldier out of you hook over and over again.
Oh, they do a smaller greenhouse.
Just a little lean-to for the side of your house. And if you've picked up 2 or 3 residential buildings that are the same, how do you differentiate them on the tabletop? Pushing a lean-to against it doesn't have to be there all the time, but all of a sudden just having the opportunity to just put a lean-to there means that your 2 buildings that you've bought, one of them just looks very different because you've given it a slightly different paint job and given them a greenhouse or I suppose it's not a greenhouse, it's like a popping shed, to be brutally honest. But yeah, they've got some really nice bits and pieces. The Aztec pit full of lava, you know.
Oh, the rising
I don't know how long those things would work for. Or your skellybobs.
And then, there's a more modern bunk bed.
Yeah, but it wouldn't work in my Rorke's Drift. Just saying.
Might work in Orc's Drift.
You. Brick accessories, a raft.
Love the raft. Very Huck fit.
No man is an island, but if you tie a bunch of bodies together, they make a pretty good raft. just one of those things. And the most impressive of all, very buckets. But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting little collection of stuff from Iron Gate Scenery that people may not be aware of. And once you get in here, you can start looking through the stuff they do have licenses for other companies, big, medium, and small. And like I say, there's quite a lot of bits and pieces in there that you can use, be it terrain or base dressing or what have you. Those little skellybobs could quite happily be used as markers for Frostgrave to show where things are going to be coming in from, your spawn points, if you will. This very bucket is absolutely magnificent, and I'm not doing medieval with it either.
Very glorious.
Yes, it is the most very of all the buckets, and it's a great way to do it. But yeah, if you're after a bit of terrain, bit of something different for your tabletop, or if you just look to decorate your buildings inside and out, then it's worth checking Iron Gate Scenery out, I think.
I think so too.
You'd be surprised what's in there.
Yeah.
Naked Witcher in a hot tub. I think it's time for some more news.
Even more news, bitches!
All right, then, we're back with another tranche of news. Like tranche. It's a good word.
That's a good word. Very good word.
Don't hear it very often. Yeah.
No, unfortunately, we don't. And we're going to be starting off with something near and dear to Justin's heart.
Yes. So we are seeing a new Gravediggers auxiliary expansion for the World of War Machine. I am loving everything about this set except for one thing. One little thing that I'm just not so happy about. So, the Warjacks, beautiful. The unit, absolutely stonking. The Captain Argo Brock, absolutely lovely. I have to ask, what in the hell has happened to Alison Jakes? This is a character who's been around for quite a while. I don't know if it's just the angle of this picture, but it's a little bit, I don't know how to say it, like Quasimodo. It's a bit hunched over, like really far forward.
I think I think it's just
really awkward.
An odd photo of the pose, maybe.
Yeah, it just whatever way the photographs have been taken, it just looks so awkward. I can't get past it.
But she's got a backpack on.
That might be what's doing it. Yeah,
maybe.
She's also channeling some Bo-Katan vibes.
I was thinking that as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this is like the third version of this character we're now seeing.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Because I think started out, she was like an apprentice forecaster, then became a lieutenant, and now we're seeing this one, which I believe is Colonel.
Yeah.
So, ranking up. I will say, I do love the design for the Warjacks in this one. They look absolutely great. And they're actually bringing in some new rules for this one. So, I think, if memory serves, it's using wind as its weaponry.
Oh, there you go.
Wind.
Yeah.
Certainly fits with the kind of weathery theme of Cygnar, I suppose, as well, which is quite cool. So.
Cygnar was always like storm themed, so yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. I love the design. I love the fact that the Gravediggers mechs look a little bit more rough and ready and a bit more beat down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it certainly fits with the aesthetic of that side of the Force.
It does.
And then the Gravediggers themselves with the Captain Argo Brock, he just looks like a badass.
What is it?
Some form of ogre, I would guess. Or just
I was
a very
trying to
big
work out,
burly
because
man.
I'm only aware of like troll bloods as being big, beefy things.
Aye.
So I hadn't come across anything like this before.
Yeah, maybe a new race, because he's got
Possibly.
that big underslung jaw.
Yeah. I did initially think ogre, although I couldn't place it if there was a particular like Imran name for them.
Not
you know
that
how they
I've
have
seen.
like rulic
Aye.
dwarves and things like that.
Yeah,
But,
who have unfortunately disappeared.
Yeah. Sad time.
So you say they've been squatted. Oh, poor dwarves.
They can't catch a break.
No.
I don't know if they've been squatted or if they're just waiting to release them.
Oh, okay.
But the Rulik was always one that I thought was just a really cool faction. But I'm loving the design of this guy. It's very characterful, rocking around with a gigantic minigun.
Of
You
course.
can just imagine the havoc this is going to wreak on the tabletop.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have your Gravediggers unit with a leader, which is very nice as well, and an airdrop. I think one of the big things for this is the focus is these are like airdrop units, so these are almost like paratroopers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the actual the light warjack, the raider, can be airdropped onto the battlefield. So you could, if there's like an objective towards the back or something that you really want to get your hands on, just drop that guy into the back lines and have at it. Obviously, you've got to bear in mind, staying in range of the warcaster at some point and all that kind of thing as well. But it's a pretty decent little setup of stuff, I think.
Yeah,
I really do like the sculptures you say, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, for that little light warjack, pick the weakest point in your opponent's line and drop it behind and just cause havoc.
Yeah.
Distract your opponent with that thing is what I would suggest.
Yeah.
I have to say that I don't mind Bo-Katan too much.
I just can't get past it.
These don't do it for me.
Really?
They
Right,
look
okay.
too much like modern military.
A bit too Ariadne type vibes. Yeah.
100%.
Fair.
I mean, the missile launcher with a pistol grip at the front, the combat knives with the serrated blade back for sawing through wood and stuff when you're out there, and even the helmets, which have a very modern military capacity look to them. They look like something from the 80s or maybe even more recent on the tabletop. They don't say steampunk warcaster. He's even got a button down canteen, which I'm pretty sure last time I seen one of those was on the back of a Cadian.
I mean that's fair. I mean the design aesthetic has sort of stepped away from the classic look of Cygnar infantry.
I wonder if they'll push that further as time goes on.
It might just be that something. Yeah, it might just be something that's linked to the Gravediggers in particular. I think to kind of give off that kind of veteran soldier vibe, I suppose. But I think the warjacks are very nice though. I like.
Yeah.
So the little tiny beady eyes, they're lovely.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It's like Robot in the Family. It's got a touch of hardware coming your way, which I believe is going to be the Terminator for the 90s.
Well, I mean, the way Warjack's intelligence has always been described to me is they're almost dog-like level of intelligence for like some of the character ones.
Loyal to a fault.
They've got that going on.
Well, they're being told to walk into the enemy guns, so yeah, they need some form of loyalty and obedience.
It's one way of doing it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Pointed stick will also work. Forward warjacks. Going a bit more sci-fi, but tiny little sci-fis.
Yes.
It's a teeny weeny.
I thought I'd throw these in here because these kind of popped up over the last couple of weeks, actually. And because we've kind of come off the back of, May the 4th and things like that, but it might be worth having a look at some stuff that is a little bit smaller in scale for Star Wars adjacent games, or maybe something else from the 70s that you really want to represent on the tabletop. So Brigade models, not Brigade games, they're two different things.
Different companies, separated by a whole ocean.
Yes.
Okay.
Brigade models do a really nice range of 15mm sci-fi stuff. Now they do, their larger collection is quite kind of near future-y stuff that you could use for playing out sort of future real world conflicts. But they also have a bunch of these kits, as you can see here, like they've got the armed starship crew and the starship pilots, and they've all been designed to kind of match up with that kind of 70s 80s aesthetic of your sci-fi TV shows or your movies and everything else in between that you could use on these.
I actually did just restart watching the original Battlestar Galactica series.
Oh, there you go. Perfect shoe-in for those. I mean, these pilots,
I don't know what you mean even before you finish your sentence. I'm not seeing it, Ben. Complete your sentence.
I don't know what these could be linked to. What on earth is the aesthetic? Who knows? But if you were perhaps downed on a jungle planet or something like that, or on a snowy planet, maybe, where the biomes are all the same from north to south, regardless.
100%.
Then
there's temperate regions on these planets.
Then this would be pretty freaking awesome for that. So that Starship pilot set comes with a couple of pilots that don't have their weapons out, and then 2 with their blasters at the ready, their pistols at the ready for shooting anyone who comes after them.
Full survival.
Yeah, you could do I don't know, say X-Wing down, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, landing on Beidouga.
Yeah. But then obviously there's that armed starship crew as well, which has the kind of vibes of kind of classic movies as well. They've all been designed to fit the, as they've put it in their blog, the beige look of most outfits from the period, where everything is just, what are we going to do this? Just beige? Maybe put some red lines on it, I guess. That'll do. Yeah.
Yes.
Just corpo jumpsuits, basically.
Hello, UFO and
let's be honest. Back then, I'm sure the budget wasn't exactly all that big.
That's true. Yeah.
No, I mean there was an awful lot of stuff going on. Even in things like the War Amongst the Stars, they used things like 1950s military surplus. So Bosk's little weird outfit is a high pressure, high altitude suit.
Wow.
From like the 1950s.
That's cool.
It was something that the studio had in their wardrobe department and has been reused in lots of different things like Doctor Who and all sorts. You just see it popping up. So yes, it was beige, but generally it was beige because they had a load of it lying around from ex surplus. So it was a good jumping off point.
So yeah, there's quite a lot in their 15mm collection for you to go and check out. So if those have whet your appetite for a little bit of 15mm sci-fi that you could maybe use for representing, larger games of Xenos Rampant or anything like that on the tabletop, those would be a really nice option for you to go and check out. And they do loads of vehicles and flyers and everything as well.
Shrink everything down, just do that. Stargrave in 15.
You could, easily enough. Yeah, just they do terrain, all sorts
inches to centimeters, and off you pop. I will say, if anybody's there and they don't check out their spaceships, it's a grave misservice. If there is a ship-to-ship combat game you want to play, they will have a fleet there that will cover it, from kitsch, 50s-esque flying saucer type things through to the more hard industrial sci-fi of the 70s and 80s through to the sort of the modern expanse. They have got massive range, and they're all sort of designated by nation/fleet. So they all have very distinct styling and look to them, and it's expansive to say the least. If you plan on doing 1 billion suns, it's a great place to start.
There's billions of ships for 1 billion suns?
Billions of ships for 1 billion suns, yes. Good times in a can in the tiny, tiny fighting men's. We have one other bit of news, a little soupçon of newsy woozy, and that is Mantic Games have announced DreadBall is returning via the medium of DreadBall All-Stars. All-Stars. Stars among the all. So far we know its name. It's called DreadBall All-Stars.
Yep.
We know very little else about it. Ronnie has dropped a few little nuggets here and there. It will be coming to Kickstarter in a few months' time. It is a evolution of the rules, but not massively so. So it will be familiar to current players, although current players are from several years ago because it hasn't been available to buy for some time now, annoyingly, because it's a fantastic game. So from the sounds of things, I think Clive is working on this. But that may be subject to change, or maybe working as part of a team. I'm not sure. Essentially, somebody came to Ronnie and went, "Ronnie, I've got some ideas for DreadBall. Here's what I've been thinking." Ronnie looked at it and went, "Ooh, actually, yes." So for people who are unaware, it's a fast-paced sports game,
Mm-hmm.
played on a hex grid, played in the galactic co-prosperity sphere, which is the rings of planets that make up Mantic's Warpath universe. So the very center of the spheres are where all the rich people live. And then as you go out, spheres become further apart, more distant, less regulation, and a bit shittier. But within the center, where people still want to have fun and games, you have the biggest of all sports, which is DreadBall. And you've got a team of 6, I want to say, might be 5. You've got 5 or 6 players per side in a team. You've got a limited amount of action tokens, which will not cover everybody, and you can spend one. You can have one team member move twice, or perform 2 actions, and it's just a back and forth game. As you score, the ball's immediately fired back in, so it's incredibly quick. You can't just Blood Bowl down the pitch to score, knowing that everything resets for the next phase of play. If you Blood Bowl down like the old Monster Mash, where you would punch a hole and then walk everything forward, you'll discover that your opponent then has got the ball behind you and has run forward and scored. And then by the time you turn around and come back, they've done it 2 or 3 times. So it's very, very quick game to play. Some of the things that have been talked about is tweaks. So if there were injuries and somebody went off and they were dead, they would go to like a sin bin type of thing where it would count down. They would go like 3,
it was like
2,
a 3
1.
stage, wasn't it?
Yeah, then back in. That's gone. Instead, what happens is somebody gets severely injured. They get wandered off, cloned. The clone comes back in the following turn, so they're only out for 1. So it means things progress very quickly. And also, weirdly, that's part of the backstory of one of the characters in DreadBall, who's because there are some DreadBall novels, and one of the main all-stars, I think is Lucky Joe, they always talk about the fact that the amount of times he's been injured, but yeah, he's managed to keep coming back, and he's a fan favorite because of this. And at one point, his ship was lost, and they activated the next clone, and that was fine. He went back out, kept doing the thing, and then this bloke appeared like months later, haggard, somewhat injured, missing an eye, and it's the same guy. Going, what has happened here? And he ended up.
They kind of Mikey 17'd it.
I have no idea. I was going to point out the Schwarzenegger film, 6th Day, but sure, let's say Mikey 17.
It's a newer one. It's a newer one.
Oh, okay, right,
it's a newer one. Sorry,
so,
you don't have to keep up these days, Jerry. It's fine. Don't worry about
it. That's I never would anyway. So yes, the idea that the backstory of some of the things like that, the cloning technology, because you don't want your $200 million player going in the shitter just because he's had a broken leg and all the rest.
Oh no, you broke your leg, you're going in the mincer.
Yeah, you go in the mincer after they've activated clone number 2. Other things people are more or less conjecturing at the moment. So there is talk that like Rob Berman did a game called Overdrive, which used the big guys from DreadBall and DreadBall Extreme, where it was draft. Currently, if you have DreadBall, you play a team. A team might be Asterians, Forge Fathers, Brocker, whatever it happens to be, but it is a specific team. And then there are some all-star players that can play between different teams, but they're like MVPs that you pay extra to bring in. It sounds more like this may be more like a drafty type thing where your team will be made up of different races depending on how you want to play it. So if you want your strikers to be from Vermin, and if you want your blockers to be some sort of marauder orc type thing, then you can do that. Time will tell. Like I say, it's all conjecture being taken up from like a single statement or a one line in an interview with Ronnie somewhere when he's semi-drunk, and people are trying to work it all out based on that. So we don't really know.
That's the best way to catch Ronnie, is if you get him a couple of pints.
Yeah. The plan is to bring it to Kickstarter and to hopefully introduce a load of new people to DreadBall and to make it an iteration of the previous game. So if you like the previous one, you should still like this. The proof of the pudding, as they say, will be in the eating. So we'll have to wait and see how it actually pans out, because obviously if you like your teams currently as they are and they do change it to being some sort of more drafty mechanic and having a mix and match, maybe it won't be to your taste. However, there should be a whole host of bits and pieces coming for it, plastics and the like. So there's a team working on rules, a team doing art and design, and somebody else is doing the sculpting for it. So there's a whole setup working behind the scenes, and we may find out a bit about it in the next few months. He did say Assassin's Creed will be out, done, dusted before this.
Yeah.
Obviously, Assassins is an IP that they've licensed, whereas DreadBall is their own. But I'm optimistic.
Yeah,
lightly
DreadBall
confident.
is always a fun game.
Yeah, and if they do anything that I don't like, I own everything. So I
You
don't
can just
care.
play the original.
You play the old one.
I play whatever one I want.
The
I play
James
first, I play
Hewitt
second,
version.
I play extreme. I've got them all, got the lot. Got Judge Dredd, who was a referee as well. You know, I've got the Martians from Mars Attacks, the Red Planet. So yeah, it has the potential to bring a load of new people in, and depending on how they set it up, I think it could be really good. And we just have to watch this space and see where things go in the future.
Watch this hex.
Watch this hex.
Oh, clever.
Bazinga. See, I'm down with the kids. I know things. Right, that's enough news. I think we should take a look at a couple of campaigns to round out the show.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at ontabletop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Okay, then. The first thing we're going to be looking at is a intense skirmish game, apparently.
It looks
called
interesting.
1490.
Yeah.
Is it another alternative history meets mud sludge and heretic vampires?
It is definitely a grimdarky 28 vibes game that has been doing the rounds on the kind of indie circuit for a little while now. And as you can see, it is exceptionally well backed as part of a new Game Found campaign from Buer Games. So, what is 1490 do? The idea is that it is set in a plague-ridden alternative world where, much like our own, where you are going to be playing a small warband or a company, a doom company, that is actually just made up of quite literally 3 miniatures. And you'll be diving into a range of solo, cooperative, or competitive scenarios on the tabletop. Easily using the miniatures range that they've worked on, as you can see here, for this game, or you could pick up and use whatever you've got in your collection, essentially. When you dive into your games, it's a little bit different from what you might expect. So it's played on a round board with a center to it, and the focus is, yes, to kill your enemies, but throughout the course of the game, a terrible fog is going to start lifting from the bottom of the map upwards. And think kind of like your Battle Royale games where like stuff is coming in from the side and start to slowly kill you. And if you spend too long on the bottom levels of the map, essentially, you will start to breathe in the toxic fog and die a terrible, terrible death. And so there's a real focus in your games of, yes, looting what you can from lower levels, but then fighting up through stages of it to get to the very top, because one objective is always placed at the very, very middle of the board at the highest point possible. So you're always trying to like climb up the side of, towers and castles and all that kind of thing in order to get to the top and kick everybody off at the same time. So they've got lots of really nice in-depth mechanics in the game for actually doing things like climbing, kicking, and doing all those bits and pieces, alongside all sorts of other things as well. And as I said, you can play this competitively, but you can also dive into the game as part of a solo cooperative campaign as well. So you can do it one-off if you prefer, or there's 2 books they've done for this game called The Fall of Rothenburg and The Gates of Rennes. Gates of Rennes. It'll help your stomach.
Gates of Tums.
The Gates of Tums.
I was thinking more, Rennes.
So it's already got a really fascinating and interesting set of ideas that it's playing with. And there are a couple of things I quite like about it. I love that they're doing something very different with the way the board's set up. I like that they're going for height and verticality when it comes to the game and how they've set that up. I love the miniatures range. I think it's really, really nice. The gameplay mechanics seem like they're not too intense, mostly D6 based, so you're not going to get, go off on a headache trying to work out what everyone's doing. So it's quite approachable from that point of view as well. And the fact that they've got those solo and cooperative elements in there at the same time, I think sort of lends a little bit more depth to the game, so you can keep coming back to it and sort of playing around with it a little bit more. There's some really nice videos on the website, or the game found, as you can see there, that will sort of lead you through a little bit on sort of gameplay and stuff like that as well, if you want to dive a little bit deeper. But it's one that I've seen advertised for quite a while already, and it was fun to suddenly see this pop up on Game Found and start to do exceptionally well as something a little bit different from the norm. It's giving me the kind of vibes of like really grim dark Relic Blade and that kind of thing. And what was the game from Black Site? Oh my god, I can't remember it now. But it was all about lurid colours and stuff like that. It's completely lost. So.
Do you want to know what I want to do with this, Ben? See
about.
On the table.
It's going to annoy me.
Yes.
Get an incense burner. Put it on the table so it's smoking, and as it's creeping up, you just set that little burner higher and higher, so you actually get a visual representation.
That would be neat. So
don't burn your table down.
Just don't burn your table down. So there's some really fun and interesting mechanics that they're playing around with here. Some interesting ideas, some interesting themes, fun miniatures as well. You'll notice that the one and only Napoleon Dynamite has lent his support to the game, alongside Tuomas Pirinen as well, of Transcrusade and Mordheim fame too. So it's got a bunch of people really excited about it. I know it's been doing really well at conventions like Adepticon and stuff over the last little while. So if you're looking for something a little bit different that has a fresh take on the kind of classic skirmish game, I think you might want to go and have a look at this in more detail and dive in.
I do love the brute who's just picked up a plank and just going, right, I will have you.
Well, you use anything to knock someone off the top of a building or something.
Sparta kick, job done.
There's another really nice thing that they've got as well. So each of your characters kind of has their own inbuilt sort of mechanics and sort of how they work, and assassins work differently to knights and all that kind of thing as well. And over the course of campaigns, you'll sort of build things up and change your classes. But each character also comes with like a one-shot ability per encounter that could like really change the state of the game. So it might be like a backstab or like a hefty kick or something like that, or like a big leap or something. And it's something that can sort of like get you out of jail sometimes. So there's some really interesting bits and pieces in there that should help to level the playing field and make it feel cinematic at the same time. And yes, you can get the modular castle, as you can see.
Sauce.
So, and that's how small the little tables are as well. I mean, that's really fun. It's almost like a little diorama that you're playing on. Yes, it should be on a Lazy Susan.
You just turn around while you're playing in the game.
And then the swirling fog can come with you as you do it. So very cool. Yeah.
It's an interesting idea. It'll be fascinating to see how it pans out, because obviously people are keen on that style of game at the moment.
Oh, yes.
However, once you've got a system like that, there's no reason why it can't be used in other things.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
If you want to play your Necromunda style games of advancing up the spire all the time, because you never know what terrible rat is below you, rodent of unusual size, or ratkin scout.
Some form of starving cannibal muto.
Yep. Scalies and scavies, they're always there as well. Yeah. I quite like the design they've gone with the miniatures as well.
Yeah.
I had to go looking. It wasn't difficult, or it wasn't easy to find, but I did eventually find it that the physical miniatures are 3D prints.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
It says high-end plastic models with durable, high-quality 3D printed hands. So
there you go.
So the weaponry and the like will be 3D, and then Seogast. Maybe.
There are both digital and physical options as part of the campaign anyway as well.
It's definitely not going to be hips plastic, because their original goal would have been a lot higher.
Oh, yes.
For that.
Oh, yes.
That being said.
But I will say, pop out a Perry's kit from the medieval thing, and then throw in some fantasy bits.
Yeah,
jobs are good. So,
there's plenty of stuff in there. The beekeeper, for example, I'm sure we've seen things like that in Midlam.
Yes,
Miniatures have done a set of beekeepers with those big wicker faces recently.
Yeah. Gardens of Hecate has done some stuff for that as well, I think.
Well, I've seen Anna in there as well.
Yes,
so.
she likes it as well.
Yes. Yeah, cracking
cool.
stuff. 17 days left and already funded up the wazoo.
Yeah. Avoid the fog.
Avoid the
Fly or die.
It's full of pirates looking for their gold, so definitely avoid the fog. No good will come from it. Right. And what's our final campaign for the week?
So you kind of had like an indie game already there from the Game Found point of view, but as we head over to Kickstarter, we've got another indie style game, this time from Stephen Hupfer, who has, I've probably butchered your name, I'm very sorry, who is bringing their mech game, Flames of Orion, which again has done really well on the kind of indie circuit over the last little while, to the tabletop. So this is a model agnostic, as every game is, but a model agnostic tabletop miniatures skirmish game where you'll be diving into fast-paced mech-based action. So all D6 based once again, although you do use poly dice from your role-playing kits in order to roll on like random tables and things like that to see what you find when you're doing exploration and that kind of stuff. There are two modes of play for the game. You can either dive in at the kind of basic level, where you just take a cookie cutter kind of quick start mech and you just take your miniatures to the tabletop, make sure everything's at the same scale, and you just fight it out on the table. It's 2x2 play space, so you're not having to do too much there, and you only need 4 minis per side. You can also do some really nice stuff with multiplayer as well in this game, if you want to take it to conventions and things like that. You then have a veteran mode where you can actually go in and you can spend credits and that kind of thing to upgrade and tweak your mechs. And this all kind of leads into a campaign-based game as well. So you can actually sort of chart the progress of your mech pilots over the course of games and sort of build them up and change them and things like that. As I say, D6 based for all the things you're going to be doing. You're just kind of rolling over in order to, hit your targets. So you need a 4+ to shoot someone, you roll that, etc. There are kind of modifiers in there as well. So if someone's in cover and all that kind of thing, you kind of work that into what you're rolling, what you're aiming for. But the core of the game is driven off heat, and that will be familiar to a lot of people who have ever played mech games before, like BattleTech, for example. Heat is generated by you doing like bigger versions of your existing actions, like shooting or moving, as well as every time you do a second action. So each mech gets 2 actions per turn. You don't suffer anything for doing the first action, but then as soon as you do a second one, you generate heat and build it up on your mech. Over the course of the game, the heat is a real kind of like game changer to Flames of Orion. And every single time you start to rack it up, you're going to be rolling on a table afterwards to see how much extra heat you're building up. And if it ever hits your heat limit, your mech doesn't just shut down, it explodes violently.
Oh, it's Gundams.
So it's all about pushing it to the limit without exploding.
Playing on that razor's edge.
Yeah, playing on the razor's edge. Now, Flames of Orion has its own kind of background that they've built into it already, kind of fighting the Orion sector and that kind of thing. There are a couple of different factions that will change the way that you build your mechs. So you've got mercenaries, megacorps, religious sects, noble houses, and the lost and the damned as well. And they all, as I say, kind of give you different ways for you to kind of tweak things and build different types of mechs and stuff like that. There is no reason, however, why you can't theme this in any way you like. So if you wanted to play Flames of Orion with BattleTech miniatures, do that. If you wanted to play it with, wanted to do it with Gundams, you could do exactly the same thing. Want to play around with different scales of Gundam, play it at different levels, easy enough for you to do. The mechanics have been designed so it just makes sure that as long as everything's at the same scale, it kind of works. A bit like, classic historical war games and all that kind of thing. Where it's like
you're selling.
Yeah, it sounds pretty awesome, doesn't it? Now, the other thing they've added in, there's things like destructible terrain in the game as well. So if you're fighting and you shoot someone or something and they collide into a wall and that kind of thing, you're encouraged to like put wrecks in their place and that kind of thing as well. Or if you explode, you might take out a couple of nearby buildings and that kind of thing at the same time. Also, whilst I said this is just a mech game, they've also added in additional optional rules for you to switch out a mech for ground units and air units, or you can switch it out for 3 kind of infantry figures instead if you want, like little tiny bases of infantry. So if you've got stuff lying around from games like, Drop Zone Commander and that kind of thing,
BattleTech.
you could easily just throw those in and have some fun with that. I should say, Flames of Orion is completely free already. So if you do want to go and get your hands on the rules and start playing the game, you can head over to Under the Dice and download it from there. It's just a very quick, simple set of rules for you to dive into and just download. The benefit of the campaign is that you will have a physical version of the rules, which will come with more background, updated art, a slightly tweaked layout, as well as a few fixes here and there. But in general, the core rules for Flames of Orion will always be free. So if you want to dive in and just play the game, maybe see if you like it, break out some of those BattleTech miniatures you got sitting around because you don't want to play the actual game, but you want to try to do something with them, like John, then this might be a good option for you to have a look at.
I don't think he's alone on that one any longer.
But yeah, if you're looking for something mech-based that sounds pretty freaking rad, I would definitely check this out. Also, special note, when you look in the initial pages of the rules, and when you look at each of the factions, there is a suggested song for you to listen to get in the mood.
That's a nice touch. I like that.
So they've got what kind of music should get you in the vibe for this? Kind of slurry drum and bass, metal, all that kind of thing.
Oh, give me a little
punk.
Papa Roach.
Exactly that kind of thing. So they've put in music suggestions for you to have a look at, and you just listen to those, get in the mood, and have some fun, as well as some of the ideas that have kind of inspired.
Specifically playing through a blown-out speaker.
Yes. So grab one out the garage and stick it on the table.
It's very, very White Wolf.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
from back in the day. I'm fascinated to see how this would compare to something like BattleTech. Obviously, playing on a 2-foot squared board. It's about the same size as a hex map for BattleTech, so it's not a million miles away from that. But I imagine it's compactor because you're dealing with only a few mechs. You're not even up to a lance, are you?
It's only 4 per side, so yeah.
Oh, well, in that case, it's
a lance, but not a star.
Yeah.
So yeah, because the real differentiation becomes if you are playing a game that is essentially, the same ground scale and figure count per side. How different is it in gameplay feel? Is it going to be faster? Is it different in how the combat plays out? Obviously, heat is something
the heat mechanic is really
BattleTech, but
interesting.
Not to that extreme.
It's very intense.
Well, that's the thing. If you know next turn you're going to overheat, you might as well just charge your opponent and give them an explosive hug.
You can also vent heat, I will say, but
no, just hugs. Boom.
One of the other things I really liked was one of the optional rules they put in, which is pilot ejects. So if your mech goes down and is about to explode or whatever, it gets destroyed, you can roll a dice to see if your mech pilot ejects, and if they do, you replace it with a figure on the board who's just your sort of pilot, and they come with an anti-mech gun, so they can still help shoot mechs and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. So they've had some really interesting bits and pieces in there, as well as things like having mechs at different sizes, so you can have light, medium, and heavy mechs, and you just choose that when you design it, and it kind of tweaks the stats for them, as well as a huge suite of weapons like plasma cannons, flamethrowers, and everything else in between.
I just realized something. Yeah. I still have all my old mechs from Pacific Rim whenever Riverhorse did it.
You could easily use those for this faction. Yeah. There you go. Come with rules for kaiju as well if you want. So
yeah. Well, it's just biomech.
You can have an energy sword, just name it a boat sword instead. I don't know.
There you have it. 27 days left. If you fancy getting into the Flames of Orion and going all mech happy down Main Street, kicking over buildings, rubbing people's faces in the broken rubble. Rubble. That's the way you do it. We shall leave you with that for this week. We shall return next Friday for more of the same. If you can't wait that long, and let's face it, who could? Join us on Sunday, where we'll be talking about our hobby and yours over at the Cult of Games XLBS. And if you're not already a cultist, you can join for free and have a 30-day trial to kick the tires and see whether or not you like it. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.